spent another evening in the emergency room until rather late. Yesterday afternoon we went out, had lunch. After lunch, about 2 o'clock, I start feeling a tightening in my chest. And that's never a good sign, but it kind of feels like it was reminiscent of like when you over-exercise, you do certain arm exercises and maybe you're kind of tight right here. So I didn't think a whole lot about it. First thing that popped into my mind was maybe an allergic reaction or something like that. So then time goes on. By 4 o'clock, I'm actually having trouble breathing. Every time I take even a medium breath, it's really pulling right down along here. And that's not a good sign. Also, about that time, my shoulders are starting to turn solid. I mean, they're just totally rock solid and starting to hurt also. That's kind of weird because, the first thought is when your chest starts to tighten, maybe you're having a heart attack. But my father survived 2 heart attacks and it's nothing like what he described. So I'm thinking allergic reaction, something, I don't know. But I'm not a doctor, so I start looking up stuff on the internet. I know maybe what you're thinking, oh, it's COVID or something like that. Yeah, well, I was too. And now by, I'll say 6 o'clock, it was reminiscent of when my older brother used to sit on my chest and I couldn't breathe. I mean, every breath was like painful. I could breathe, but it was painful. So now I'm like, well, maybe it's COVID, maybe it's something else. So I start looking up symptoms, and yes, it could be like serious food poisoning or allergy, but I'm not showing any other signs of that. Could be heart, but again, the symptoms are coming on too slowly. Just down the line, I can't come up with anything that would be an issue. Now, before I go on, I'm not a doctor. If you have serious symptoms, do what I did. Go see a doctor. Don't second guess this. But frankly, I was hoping it would go away. Yeah, don't we all, right? So I went into the emergency room and they went down the same checklist. I told the nurse that, I'm having a tightening of the chest and it's getting harder to breathe and, all those good things. So she does the same thing. She immediately assumes it's a heart attack, goes in there, starts doing all the EKG stuff. Everything's normal. Yeah. This is where it gets weird, right? If it was just a heart attack, then this wouldn't be worth the video. But so she goes down the list. Checks off heart attack? No, very unlikely. Allergy. She starts asking questions about, do you have any rash? Are you itching? Any other symptoms other than the tightness in the chest? No other symptoms. And so she starts checking all over and no, so not allergy. And they're doing their job. They're going right down the checklist of most probable things. They did a quick, actually just using a portable X-ray machine, just took a chest X-ray in bed. And while I was just sitting there, and they said, okay, we're seeing something right down in here. You have a problem. And I'm like, this is not good, because a friend of mine just died from lung cancer a few months ago. And that's kind of the next thing that pops into my head is they're seeing a shadow on the X-ray. Cancer. So they schedule all the blood work. Got holes all over me from taking blood and other samples and injecting me with stuff. So no cancer. They check off COVID. They give me the COVID test. It's not COVID. So now it's really kind of getting weird. And I can tell that they're running out of choices, out of options on what it can be. So now they're going to start looking into the stranger things. So they asked me if I want a CAT scan. And So of course I say, okay, got to know what's going on here, because the symptoms are getting worse. I mean, the tightening of the chest is getting worse. The tightening of the muscles across my shoulders, it's getting worse. And you know, you got to do something, right? So they order a CAT scan, and doctor looks at it and comes back and says, we're not sure, but you have a shadow somewhere down in here right above your heart. And he said it is most likely some kind of contaminant in your lungs. Okay, now this is where it gets stupid, because what he's saying is that you either like ate some food and aspirated, you got food down in your lungs, food, water, or dust. Now, if you watch my DIY videos, you know that we have a cement and brick house, and I do a lot of work, and a lot of times I don't wear masks for dust protection. Yeah, so, I've been doing this for 20 years in this house. We've been living in this house for 20 years, drill holes, that kind of stuff. And so I've got a meeting with a specialist here in a couple hours, but right now it looks like I either inhaled food, some kind of liquid, or dust. And well, I know I've inhaled dust. And some combination, and at some point my body said, this is too much. So yeah, what happens is when you get something in your lungs, your body tries to lock it away, and it forms like a bubble around it. And yeah, that's what it's doing. So I have inflammation, which explains why I don't have the fever. It's just swelling. And the tightness of the chest is the body reacting to the inflammation and other stuff around it. So yeah, I'm going to have a $600 bill that the insurance doesn't pay for. The deductible part. And it's very likely that I just did something stupid, like I did not wear the correct protective stuff, because we were just drilling holes in the house to finish out another project, an electrical project. And did I wear a mask? Well, no, I've gotten away with it for 20 years. So it's very likely that I have built up a bunch of junk in my lungs over the years, or even over the months, whatever, and finally it triggered a response. So yeah, I could have a $600 bill plus whatever the insurance company's paying, just because I'm stupid. And yeah, in a lot of my videos I say, this requires knowledge. If you don't know, learn first or don't do it. And frankly, I know better. So this is extra stupid. But hey, it's all right. You're just drilling a few holes, blowing the dust out of the holes, stuff like that. So anyway, we will see what happens. Again, I've got an appointment here in a couple hours and with a specialist, and he will tell me how stupid I was. Okay, until later. Just back from the specialist, and there's a reason that these guys exist. He went over the CAT scan in great detail. He also compared that to an x-ray I had done almost 7 years ago. And his conclusion was there's no issue with like aneurysms. There's nothing unusual about the lungs, he said. He found a couple of places where there was some scarring, maybe from past illness as a kid, some infection, but nothing serious, which it's a little bit frustrating, because the last couple times I've gone to the doctor with something serious, they could tell me what was wrong, but they couldn't tell me why it happened. So the last time was with the eye, where I just lost the vision in my eye, and they came up with the best guess, which was a piece of cholesterol came loose and got stuck in the supplying artery. But they couldn't confirm that 100%, and my cholesterol wasn't all that high, so that was just like best guess. Same thing this time around. It is, they know there's a tightening of the chest, tightening of the shoulders, difficulty in breathing. But when they tested all of the airway function, make sure I could breathe easily in and out, wheezing, checking for wheezing and all that stuff. So yeah, he went over and did a thorough chest exam, and just nothing there. So once again, he can tell me the what, but not the why. his best guess is probably something like a we call it allergic reaction to something. So yeah, I just gotten done with lunch, and I was up on the roof messing around, so maybe, you know, bird droppings or whatever, I got exposed to something like that. Who knows, or chemicals, whatever. But right now, number one guess is allergic reaction to something, and number two guess is they're not sure. So that's where it stands. Anyway, yeah, these very frustrating as you get older, that they have they can tell you what's wrong, but they can't tell you why it's wrong, and therefore you can't really treat it. So there's no medicine for me, no prescription, nothing. Just if it happens again, make note of the surroundings and see what happens. But that's it. So the doctors and the med techs, nurses, they ran all the tests that eliminated cancer, aneurysm, COVID, heart attack, allergy, pneumonia, and all that. And in the end, they came up with a conclusion of, we don't know what caused it. So what else could it have been? Well, when I got home, I looked up on the Mayo Clinic's website, just started nosing around, and I found some symptoms for a common illness that kind of fit better what was going on with me. Well, I didn't have the fever, but you know, I was pushing the aching muscles and shoulders, the chest, all that stuff. I didn't have chills and sweats. Yeah, I'd had headaches recently, but I just attributed those to the allergy, you know, because you get the swelling around the eyes, the pressure, the headaches, that kind of stuff. I'd had a bit of a cough, but again, you know, it's allergy stuff, right? You take the medicine, it goes away. Shortness of breath, well, again, that's what I pushed with the doctors because that's what I was feeling. Those were the big symptoms in my thought. Tiredness and weakness, well, you know, I'm an older guy and we have our days, right? Good days, bad days. Runny, stuffy nose, well, again, yeah, it'd been about 30% more than, you know, in the past and what was normal, but I was taking the allergy medicine, so that kind of suppressed all that. Sore throat, well, I wouldn't call it a sore throat, but, you know, a bit of scratchiness. My wife noticed that my voice is a little rougher. But again, allergy, right? I attributed that to allergy. It didn't fit my view of what was going on, so it kind of got pushed to the side. Eye pain, allergy medicine deals with the itchy eyes. I wouldn't call it pain. It was just, you know, itchy eyes. And yeah, they were watering a bit, but, you know, allergies, right? I keep saying allergies. Well, that's what I kept telling the doctors. Vomiting, no. And then after I got home, yeah, diarrhea. Well, neither of us knew about that. The doctors and I did not know about that at the time, of course, but after the ER visit, yeah, that happened. So if the doctors had had this checklist, where the aching muscles, headache, dry cough, shortness of breath, tiredness, weakness, runny nose, sore throat, eye pain, diarrhea, if they'd had this list, they might have come up with that as a cause. Now, add to that bit of information the fact that when I got home, my wife and son were showing signs of the same symptoms. And of course, heart attack is not transmissible. So whatever was going on was, yeah, was moving around the family. And in fact, my son is upstairs in bed, you know, with the, well, just, you know, a lot of these symptoms, the coughing, the sneezing, he's tired, he's sick. So, yeah, a lot of mistakes were made on this visit. It's cost me a lot of money. So, the big problem was mostly me. I felt that, you know, I had something serious and I kept pushing that to the doctors and nurses. I downplayed a lot of the symptoms that would have been interesting to them. I thought they were unimportant and I pushed them off to the side. I kept saying it's my allergy. I have a chronic allergy. That had to be it. I did not tell them that in the past few days I'd been taking aspirin and allergy meds. So I was suppressing all those symptoms. In my own defense, well, you know, I wasn't really thinking about those at the time because, again, the medicine was doing an effective job of holding all that down. Okay, so given the information they had, the doctors eliminated all the possibilities that they could think of, given the symptoms. And because I had eliminated the key symptoms, these Well, they didn't have that information and they didn't come up with that conclusion. So it ended up with a best guess or unknown cause to my symptoms. Yeah, they did their best job, but again, I had suppressed a lot of the information. So what I've learned from this, I hope I've learned a lesson. Medical personnel are trained to go through the symptoms that a patient reports that I was reporting, right? They're going to test what you tell them. They tested what I told them, and they didn't come up with the causes. They just went right down the list, and heart attack, allergies. They did the blood work and all that stuff, but I gave them bad and biased data. So the chance of them hitting the actual cause was going down, was diminished because of me. They say in computer science, garbage in, garbage out. Well, I gave them garbage. So I needed to give them the facts without my bias. I should not have tried to second guess the problem. I'm not a doctor. I was stupid. Okay, so disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not medically trained. This is my experience. You have a different life. You have a different body. You need to consider that. You always get your medical advice from your physician. Okay, that's always true, especially on the internet. Okay, with that, I will say peace and long life. Is this the end? Well, it's the end of $700 that I'm going to pay in deductibles for my insurance.